Hi, are you about to move to the UK and are wondering what the immigration health surcharge is? Or are you in the process of extending your UK visa and need to pay your IHS fees and are wondering how much you need to pay? Then you need to watch this video. In this video, I'm going to be explaining what is the IHS fees and how much and who needs to pay it. Can you get a refund for your IHS fees? And finally, I'll be sharing my experience with paying an IHS fees for a UK visa extension. Hello and welcome to The Nimble Nomad. My name is Arjun, and on this channel, we talk about the tips, tricks, and hacks to survive and thrive in the UK. In case you're here for the first time, on this channel, I talk about all different topics, all based on life in the UK, right from UK immigration to personal finance to property and a whole lot of how-to-dos. My channel is specifically targeted to help people become successful in living their best life in the UK. So the main reason I actually wanted to make this video was a few months ago, my wife wanted to apply for her UK visa extension through the IDV app, and we were required to pay for her IHS fees as part of this. Now, because I was on an indefinite leave to remain at the time, we weren't quite sure how much IHS fees we actually need to pay for. So in this video, I actually want to break down what the IHS fees is and how much you need to pay. And I also want to share my personal experience and what happened when we applied for her UK visa extension. And in case you're curious about the IDV app and how it works, I've done a separate video of this and I'll add a link of that above. So please go ahead and watch that in case you're curious. Okay, so what is the IHS or Immigration Health Surcharge fees? So the IHS fees actually is an additional surcharge or sort of a tax that was introduced back in 2015 by the Theresa May government, and it's specifically targeted towards immigrants, and it's been designed in order to raise additional funds for the National Health Service in the UK, or the NHS. In case you aren't aware, the health services or the public health services which are provided by the government in the UK for residents and British citizens is absolutely free to use at the point of service. So you actually have to never pay for health service unless you're an immigrant, because you actually end up paying it through this immigration health surcharge. The main reason why the government actually introduced this IHS surcharge or fees was basically the National Health Service for quite some time has been under a massive financial stress and been underfunded. So the government thought it was a good idea to tax or add an additional fee for immigrants like myself and possibly even you who are moving to the UK. The intention was to raise approximately about £200 million per year for the NHS, and any fees that is paid through in the form of the IHS goes directly to the NHS coffers. So how much is the IHS fees and do I need to pay for it? So just a bit of background. Back in 2015, when the government first introduced the IHS surcharge or the Immigration Health Surcharge, the fees was about £200 per year per person for the visa that they were applying for. So let's say hypothetically, if you wanted to apply for your UK visa and that visa was for 3 years, then you would have to pay £200 per year for the 3-year period, in addition to any other visa fees that you had to pay. So that was a total of £600 for the 3 years that you would have paid. Since then, the government has actually gradually increased the IHS fees. So until recently, the IHS fees was about £400 per year per person. And then in October of 2020, the fees has gone up to about £630 per year per person. So that's about a 225% increase in the surcharge since it was originally introduced. The government website actually says that if you're applying to move to the UK or live in the UK for any period longer than 6 months, then you need to pay this IHS fees as part of your UK visa. And anyone who's already within the UK and is applying for extending their visa, they need to be paying this IHS fees as well. Now, the other thing is, and this is the twist in the puzzle, is that if you're a EU or EEA citizen and have moved to the UK or will be moving to the UK after Brexit, then all the EU and EEA citizens will also be liable for paying this IHS surcharge. So welcome to being an immigrant, guys. Now, in case you're wondering and are unsure about how much IHS fees you need to pay because you don't know when you move to the UK, or you don't know what duration you're going to be applying for, maybe you've got some half years in place, then what I'll do is basically I'll add a link. There's actually a government website where you can go in, fill up a questionnaire, and it tells you exactly how much IHS fees you need to pay as part of your application. So I'll add that in the description section below, so you can go and click on that if you're curious. And for those of you who are actually wondering whether you can get a refund because you're either leaving the UK or applying for a different type of visa, let's go on to the government website and look at what are the criteria. So basically, the UK government actually says that you can get a IHS refund if you've paid the IHS fees twice, or if you have had your application refused or you've withdrawn your application. You'll also get a partial IHS refund in case you have less time on your visa than you asked for. So let's say you asked for 2 years, but you only got a year, so you'll get that 1 year's refund back. And if you have any dependents who applied for the visa and are having them refused. The other thing that you probably want to think about when you are going to get a refund is, let's say you were on a specific type of visa, say a tier 2 visa, and you changed employers as part of it, and you probably still had 1 year on the original sponsor's tier 2 visa. Then you will be eligible for a full refund of the fees that you've paid on the original tier 2 visa as well. Now, there are a couple of scenarios under which you will not get your IHS fees refunded. So let's say you apply for your UK visa application and the visa gets approved, but you decide not to come to the UK, then you won't be able to get a IHS refund. If you decide that you want to leave the UK before your visa expires, you will not get a refund. And finally, most critically, let's say you change your visa from a whatever tier 2, tier 3, whatever visa to an indefinite leave to remain, which is permanent residency in the UK. Then in that scenario as well, you don't get a refund. And I'll get into more details on this because I have specific experience with this as well. So finally, what was my personal experience? Now, back, as I said right at the start of the video, my wife applied for her UK visa extension for her tier 2 dependent visa in July. And at that time, when she was filling out the application form, there was a question in the application form which said that you need to pay the IHS fees, and here's a link to go and calculate that. So when you go into the calculation for it, it basically asks you how much or how long is your the main applicant. So in her case, it was me. Their visa valid until now, because I have indefinite leave to remain, and my BRP card, or the card which says I have indefinite leave to remain, says my card is valid until 2024. We put that date in, and it basically gave an exorbitant amount of £2,200 that we needed to pay for her IHS fees. Now, this was ridiculous, and we just weren't sure whether this was correct because, frankly speaking, all she needed was just 6 months of a visa extension in order to become eligible for her indefinite leave to remain. So what we did was we realized that we could also pay for just a year, and that wouldn't necessarily have a negative impact if the Home Office thought that we hadn't paid the IHS fees correctly. And it says specifically that if you've not paid the complete IHS fees, we'll get in touch with you. So we said, let's pay for a year. because at least that way we can get contacted if we've not paid the right amount. And so we paid a year. Now if you've not watched the video where I've explained what happened as part of the timeline, just before we received her visa approval, the caseworker actually contacted us, and as part of that, they said, you have not paid enough IHS fees, therefore I'm not able to process or proceed with your application. So you need to pay the additional fees, and here's a link for you to go and pay it. So we try to clarify it, saying that, look, we just need the visa for a year as an extension. We don't want it for 3 years. So can you not just process it for a year? Because my wife's going to apply for indefinite leave to remain anyway. And they came back with quite a curt email, and it basically said, no, you just need to pay for 3 years. So in fact, we've now ended up paying for an additional 2 years of a visa extension, even though we just needed her visa to be extended for a year, and lost £800 in effect, because as I said, when you convert from a general tier 2 visa or any visa type to indefinite leave to remain in the UK, you basically lose your IHS fees and are not eligible for a refund on the IHS fees. So in case you're out there, there's two things that you should probably take away from my experience. One is, if your partner's on an indefinite leave to remain, don't pay the full amount, like until whenever their BRP card is valid, until you'll be overpaying. You probably would get a refund, but it will save you the hassle. So just pay for 3-year sets, because apparently visa extensions especially in the tier 2 dependent visa category, are extended for 3 years at a time only. So you need to pay 3 years. And secondly, if you've not paid the right amount of IHS fees, don't worry. They do contact you, and they do tell you they do not reject your visa application on the basis of incorrect IHS fees payment. But just be aware that it's a huge outlay. And finally, if you're going to be eligible for indefinite leave to remain, or planning to do it, just make sure you time your visa extensions correctly, because if you don't, you'll end up in a scenario like my wife did, where you've got this small gap which you need to fill up, but you have to pay for this 3-year extension. So that's it for this video. That's all I wanted to cover in this video. I hope it's helped you out. Any of the tips that I'm talking about are useful. If they did, please smash that like button, and don't forget to comment in the section below. Your likes and subscriptions really help the channel grow. The video grows on the YouTube analytics platform, and it reaches more people, so more people can benefit from it. And I'll see you next time. That's it. Goodbye.